Hello, and welcome to another episode of the ShopLogic podcast. I am your host, Adrienne. It is episode number 13, and I will be discussing everything about spring cleaning pertaining to ethical consumerism. So if it's your first time listening to ShopLogic, you might be wondering, what is this podcast all about? Well, all things pertaining to ethical consumerism. Maybe you know it as mindful consumerism, conscious consumerism. It's basically your source to learn how what we buy is going to affect you, others, animals, and the planet. ShopLogic is something I created, which is a website, an app, and this podcast, soon to be an ethical brand certifier. It's essentially a database that answers any questions you might have about all the things we shop for. By listening to this podcast, you can learn with me how to buy better, read labels, understand pros and cons of different brands, and be aware of how purchases impact our health, the environment, animals, and laborers. So it's not just about food, even though I often discuss plant-based vegan diets and different types of diet trends and different products and brands that are foods, but it's everything we shop for. I also include personal care products, cosmetics, fashion, on this episode, cleaning, and so much more. Together, we'll learn how to shop guilt-free and know which brands to choose that make a positive impact on what matters most, that being animals, people, and the planet. On today's agenda, as I mentioned, it's all about spring cleaning. We'll talk about cleaning supplies and toxins, kitchen and laundry, home air filters and ventilation, bug removal, and donations. Spring cleaning for the ethical consumer is less about tossing everything into trash bags and more about thoughtful renewal. Imagine sunlight streaming through freshly cleaned windows, the air smelling faintly of citrus and lavender instead of those harsh, toxic, nauseating chemicals, and your space feeling lighter, not just physically, but morally too. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? What is ethical spring cleaning? Picture opening your closet and instead of absolute chaos, I'm totally guilty too, you see neatly folded clothes that you actually wear. Ethical spring cleaning means reducing waste, choosing sustainable, non-toxic products, donating responsibly, and avoiding overconsumption. It's like giving your home a conscious upgrade. So declutter, but make it mindful. You're holding a shirt you haven't worn in years, and instead of just tossing it in the garbage, ask, can someone else use this? Can it be repaired or repurposed? And here are some options. Donate wearable items to local shelters, recycle textiles, and a lot of brands actually offer take-back programs nowadays. And turn your old shirts into cleaning rags, which is a full circle moment. The average American throws away about 81 pounds of clothing each year. Wow, that's like tossing a fully packed suitcase every single month. Ditch the toxic cleaners. Swap out those neon blue liquids with minimalist glass bottles filled with clear solutions and sprigs of rosemary inside or other herbal solutions. Look for plant-based ingredients, refillable containers, and certifications like cruelty-free, meaning not tested on animals, or biodegradable, meaning much better for our ecosystem and environment and planet. Or you could even do it yourself. Did you know vinegar and water actually creates streak-free windows? You can replace Windex and other window cleaners with just a vinegar and water solution. It works great. I actually just did that the other day. Or baking soda. You might have heard the baking soda quote that's like hundreds of uses, and that is so true. Baking soda can be used to gently scrub different things around the house. So yeah, your grandma's cleaning hacks. Turns out she was an eco-influencer even before it was cool. Here's another fun fact you might not know. Indoor air can be 2 to 5 times more polluted than outdoor air, often by cleaning products. Resist the buy new stuff trap. A Pinterest perfect pantry is going to be tempting, I get that, but pause for a moment before you buy those 12 matching jars. Ethical spring cleaning is not about replacing everything with aesthetic upgrades. Instead, you can try reusing containers you already own, borrowing tools instead of buying them, and repairing instead of replacing. What I like to do is any type of glass jar or a mason jar that you might have around the house, like jars from pasta sauce or pickles, something of that nature, you clean it out real good, and that could be a great and aesthetic upgrade to your pantry. Home goods that you buy around the house is just like fast fashion. It is actually now a major contributor to landfill waste. Refresh naturally. Windows open, sheer curtains moving in the breeze, a bowl of lemons on the table, maybe a small plant soaking up the sunlight. There are a lot of simple touches you can add to your home naturally. Fresh air is seriously underrated. I love opening the windows during the spring, getting the fresh air circulation around the house, the ventilation. It's actually a big thing in Germany where I used to live. They call it lüften, and that basically means to air something out. So they love to lüften, their home. They do that all the time. The windows are open even in the winter. Yeah, it's probably because a lot of European residences, they don't have an HVAC system. They don't have central air. They don't have vents. They don't have air conditioning or heating systems with like the traditional vents that we're used to here in the US. They also don't even have ceiling fans. If they do, it's super rare. So opening the windows is a classic, old school, timeless, simple thing you could do to get that fresh air going, moving throughout the house. Add some houseplants around your home for air quality. Let's not forget that plants give us better oxygen. And you could add some natural scents like essential oils. Certain plants can help remove toxins from indoor air. Dispose responsibly. Instead of one giant trash bag, you have sorted piles. Which items you're going to donate, which to recycle, which to repair, and which to compost. Check your local recycling rules. They do vary extremely. E-waste drop-offs for old electronics and hazardous waste programs for chemicals. And that drawer you have that's like full of tangled chargers, I have a drawer like that too. And that's basically hoarding vintage technology artifacts. We don't need all of those chargers anymore. So be sure to donate those and check out which e-waste drop-off programs are in your area. Why does it all matter? Ethical spring cleaning isn't just about your home, it's about the impact, reducing landfill waste, cutting down on pollution, and supporting circular economies. Did you know globally we produce over 2 billion with a B tons of waste per year, and it's expected to grow unless we do something about it. Spring cleaning done ethically feels different. It's not like frantic or guilt-driven, it's very intentional. It's quite satisfying knowing your home is lighter, your choices are smarter, and your impact is smaller. Honestly, that fresh, sunlit, lemon-scented room hits way better when you know you didn't trash the planet to get there. Let's move on to discussing cleaning supplies and toxins. If you're trying to be an ethical consumer, cleaning supplies are a surprisingly important place to focus. Many conventional products are effective, but they often come with trade-offs for human health, workers, animals, and the environment. Here's a clear breakdown to help you make some smarter choices. What is in those conventional cleaning products we grew up with, maybe we still continue to buy? Many of those mainstream cleaners contain chemicals that raise concerns in toxicology, environmental science, and our health. Common problematic ingredients are going to be the following. Phthalates, often hidden in quote-unquote fragrance. Those are linked to hormone disruption. They might smell great, but to me, if you can tell that it's like that unnatural smell, it's a definite no. Look for phthalates on the ingredient list and avoid them at all costs. You do not want hormone disruption. Ammonia. Ammonia is going to irritate the lungs, and it's super dangerous if you mix it with bleach. Speaking of bleach, chlorine bleach is another ingredient to watch out for. It also goes by sodium hypochlorite. That can release toxic gases and is very harmful to aquatic life. Quaternary ammonium compounds, those are also known as quats, Q-U-A-T-S. Those are associated with asthma and antimicrobial resistance. Triclosan, this is less common, but it is actually still around. That impacts ecosystems and can also disrupt your hormones. Butox ethanol, that's found in glass cleaners, and it has been linked to liver and kidney effects. These concerns connect to the broader concept of endocrine disruption and indoor air pollution. So why do we care? First and foremost, our own health. Indoor air can become more polluted than outdoor air due to these volatile chemicals. The environmental impact. Many cleaning agents do not biodegrade well, harm aquatic ecosystems, and contribute to water pollution. Animal welfare. Some companies still test ingredients or formulations on animals. Thankfully, this is declining, but it still exists to this day. A great tip: check out the ShopLogic app. You could download it for free and browse which companies, which brands do and do not test on animals. On the app, simply go to the brands category and you'll find that listed under household brands and get the cruelty-free status before you buy. Labor and justice. Ethical consumption also considers worker safety in manufacturing, transparency, and ingredient disclosure. What makes a cleaning product ethical? Look for the following characteristics: safer ingredients, plant-based surfactants, no synthetic fragrances or dyes, readable ingredient lists. There are third-party certifications. Some helpful labels might include Environmental Working Group, EWG Verified, EPA Safer Choice, Leaping Bunny, and Cradle to Cradle Products Innovation Institute. Sustainability practices. Look for biodegradable formulas, refillable packaging, and concentrates. Some common safer ingredients, some green flags you might find. Now, these are widely used in lower toxicity cleaning. You're going to have vinegar, also known as acetic acid. It cuts grease, removes mineral buildup. Baking soda, also known as sodium bicarbonate, it's a mild abrasive and a deodorizer. Castile soap, it's a plant-based soap. Hydrogen peroxide, this is a disinfectant alternative to bleach. And citric acid, it breaks down limescale. Here is some greenwashing to watch out for. Not all eco-friendly labels mean that they're eco-friendly. Just be cautious of products claiming to be natural. If you see the word natural, it might not be regulated. Non-toxic, well, there's actually no legal definition behind that. And hidden fragrance blends. Even brands that are marketed as green, like 7th Generation or Method, can vary by product, so it's still worth checking ingredients and ratings. Some practical ethical swaps for kitchen cleaning. You can swap your bleach spray with vinegar, water, and a few drops of soap. Your glass cleaner, you can swap ammonia-based glass cleaner for vinegar and water. For disinfectants, you can swap heavy quats with hydrogen peroxide or alcohol when appropriate. There's an important balance between the safety and the effectiveness. Ethical consumption does not mean abandoning the effectiveness. For instance, in cases like illness outbreaks, stronger disinfectants may be appropriate. The key is informed situational use, not all or nothing thinking. So the big picture here, it's really about aligning your purchases with transparency, health-conscious choices, and environmental stewardship. Even really small changes, like just if you switch one product at a time, it can reduce your chemical exposure and your environmental footprint. How do you choose? When comparing ethical cleaning products, the most important factors are ingredient transparency, no hidden fragrance toxins, low toxicity, avoid ammonia, chlorine, VOC heavy formulas, certifications like EPA Safer Choice and cruelty-free, and the sustainability like biodegradable, refillable. Many of these green cleaners are going to use plant-based ingredients like vinegar, citric acid, essential oils instead of the harsh chemicals, and avoid substances like phthalates and synthetic fragrances. Here are some unethical or very high concern brands. This is when you need to draw the line. Harsh chemical heavy legacy brands are going to be the following. Clorox. Clorox uses chlorine bleach, which is a respiratory irritant. It can release toxic gases if you mix it improperly, and it contributes to that indoor air pollution, also known as VOCs. Lysol uses quats, or quaternary ammonium compounds. It's linked to asthma and respiratory irritation, and it has a strong synthetic fragrance load. Mr. Clean contains synthetic surfactants and fragrance. There is less transparency with this brand on their full ingredient breakdown. These are concerning because they release those VOCs that affect air quality and health, ammonia, bleach, synthetic fragrance, and all of that can irritate your lungs, your skin, and your eyes. There are also animal testing concerns. Some of those large multinational cleaning brands, especially historically, have tested on animals or sell in markets that require it. They lack full cruelty-free certification transparency, and you need to look for some type of no animal testing certification from Leaping Bunny or very clear no animal testing policies. A lot of those traditional mainstream heavy chemical brands are usually overkill for your everyday cleaning. As one analysis found, traditional cleaners emit significantly more harmful compounds than the greener alternatives. So I mentioned a couple brands to stay away from and avoid due to ethical concerns. Here are some truly cruelty-free and safe cleaning brands that combine no animal testing with clean ingredients that are safe. Branch Basics is a non-toxic concentrate, very, very minimal ingredients. There's zero animal testing, and they are an independent company. They're safe for sensitive people, babies, and your pets. It's often recommended for allergies too. Attitude, EWG verified. They have a very strict ingredient safety standard. They are vegan and cruelty-free, and even their parent company does not test. They avoid carcinogens and hormone disruptors. Puracy, another plant-based brand developed by chemists and doctors. There's no animal testing, and they're independently owned. They're free from harsh chemicals. Common Good. This is a biodegradable and a refill system brand. They're cruelty-free too, and a small independent company. Koala Eco is an Australian brand. They have essential oil-based formulas. There are no synthetic toxins, and they're cruelty-free. Some other good ones might be Nature Clean. They're hypoallergenic and they have fragrance-free options. Rebel Green, there's no parabens or ammonia. And Therapy Clean, they're an essential oil-based and cruelty-free brand. Here are some brands that might seem cruelty-free, but they actually fail the rule of do parent companies test on animals. So even some brands might say that they don't test on animals, but they're owned by some major parent company that still tests on animals. So it is not at all transparent. It is not at all true. If you purchase a product from that brand, you're essentially supporting the parent company. The parent company is profiting, and you are essentially funding this further animal testing. Method is owned by SC Johnson. They're terrible when it comes to testing really harsh toxic chemical products on rabbits, mice, guinea pigs, and more. Seventh Generation, they're owned by Unilever. Also really bad. Test on animals. Mrs. Meyer's, also owned by SC Johnson. So that just goes to show, even though those brands maybe at one time were a smaller independent brand, they have now been bought out by parent companies like SC Johnson and Unilever that continue to this day to test on animals when it's so unnecessary. Here's a quick rule to remember. To stay 100% aligned with your values, look for that cruelty-free certification. Independent companies are better. They're like not owned by a big corporation. And look for non-toxic certifications. The ShopLogic certification, which is not out yet, but aims to certify and approve truly 100% ethical brands, would include everything that you're looking for. But unfortunately, nothing like that exists at this point in time. So that's why you actually have to scan the product for all kinds of labels like animal testing. Is it safe for human health? Is it eco-friendly? And a ShopLogic ethically approved brand would be your quick, all-encompassing certification that if you see it, you can know that it's all green flags and there's no hidden consequence as to what you're buying and supporting with your money. Moving on to cleaning the kitchen and doing laundry. As I mentioned, choose safer cleaning products, but you could also cut down on single-use waste. Replace paper towels with washable cloths or rags. Use refillable spray bottles, and you could buy in bulk or concentrated refills, which is going to reduce your landfill waste and the plastic production. Be mindful of microplastics. Sponges and synthetic scrubbers shed microplastics. Instead, use natural fiber brushes that are wood with plant bristles and compostable sponges. Conserve water and energy. Don't leave the tap running too long. Wash dishes in a basin instead of under running water, and use energy efficient dishwashers when possible. They typically use less water than hand washing. And what about laundry? Well, if you wash less, you wash smarter. Overwashing is going to waste water, energy, and it wears your clothes out faster. Only wash when needed. Try to get a couple uses out of each item if you can. Use cold water cycles, cuts energy use significantly, and run full loads, not small ones. Choose better detergents. Look for biodegradable formulas, phosphate-free, and minimal packaging. reduce microfiber pollution. Synthetic clothes like polyester, which I guarantee you have in your closet, those release microplastics into waterways, meaning your washing machine. Wash synthetics less often if you can, and use a microfiber catching bag. There's one by a brand called Guppy Friend. So that actually is going to prevent microfibers from getting out and into the water system. Install a washing machine filter if you can. Air dry whenever possible. Dryers use a lot of energy. Instead, try using a clothing line, especially if you live in a place where it's warm weather, if it's not raining. That's going to cut down on emissions. It makes clothes last longer. I absolutely love the smell of fresh laundry when it's dried in the sun. It smells so good and so fresh. It's very natural. A lot of other countries do not even use dryers. They just hang their clothes, sometimes even inside, but I always prefer outside on a sunny day, and it's going to save you money as well. Dryers use so much energy, you will for sure see a difference in your electric bill. Buy and maintain ethically. Cleaning habits connect to consumption, so choose durable, ethically made clothing and repair instead of replacing. Support brands with fair labor practices. Here are some really good kitchen and laundry brands that have super strict standards. Blue Land is certified cruelty-free by Leaping Bunny. They're not toxic, made safe, and EPA safer choice ingredients. They have a plastic-free refill system, and they're an independent company, so there's no problematic parent. They were featured on Shark Tank, if you remember that. They are designed specifically to reduce human chemical exposure and plastic waste at the same time. Ecos. This is another brand that is certified cruelty-free, plant-based, biodegradable, no parabens, family-owned, and safe for skin and your home. It's one of the most established ethical brands with full transparency and safer formulations. Meliora cleaning products, they're also cruelty-free vegan, very short transparent ingredient list, fragrance-free, and plastic-free packaging. Koala Eco, again, is cruelty-free, plant-based, biodegradable, independent-owned. That's that Australian brand I mentioned before. Attitude, I mentioned that one as well. Puracy. So you can see that there are brands that cover it all. They have a line for kitchen cleaning. They have a line for laundry. So once you get to know that a brand is very ethical and they're going to follow some of the values that you have, then you can just remember what that brand is and continue to buy it for all areas of your home, the kitchen, the living room, the laundry room. You might also be wondering, okay, well, some of these brands say that they are vegan. Why would a cleaning brand not be vegan? Well, one brand, for instance, called Kind Laundry is not fully vegan. So what an ironic or hypocritical name. Kind Laundry is not fully vegan. Some of their products contain animal-derived materials. Yeah. So even dryer sheets or like pertaining to dryer balls, you might have seen these wool dryer balls that you can throw in the dryer, but wool dryer balls are not vegan, even if they say they're cruelty-free. Instead, you want plant-based, silicone, or bamboo alternatives. And this is because when sheep are sheared for their wool, it is not at all humane. It causes a lot of pain. Sheep are also really bad for the environment. I know that sounds funny that I'm saying that this animal is not good for it, but it's a ruminant animal. Just like a cow has multiple stomachs, that means that they cause more emissions. There is no such thing as sustainable wool, for instance. But more importantly, the animal. We do not want to contribute to the harm of these animals. So avoid wool dryer balls at all costs. Vegan dryer sheets do exist. They are limited. The truly vegan, non-toxic dryer sheets with the parent company rule are extremely rare. Many contain animal-derived softeners, other contain synthetic fragrance chemicals. So the ethical consensus here is to skip dryer sheets entirely and use reusable alternatives. A lot of people don't even use dryer sheets. I know that sounds crazy, but just try it. It really doesn't make that much of a difference. You can skip dryer sheets completely and you won't even really see a difference. But in the event you really insist on something going into the dryer with your clothes, there are silicone dryer balls. They're long lasting and they're fully vegan. There are bamboo and hemp fiber dryer balls, and there are reusable plastic free dryer buddies. Those are going to reduce static, soften clothes, avoid chemical coatings, and last for years instead of single use dryer sheets. Dryer balls are widely considered a safer, reusable alternative to chemical dryer sheets. So even if you're not really thinking so much about the animals or environment, remember dryer sheets contain chemicals and those synthetic fragrances that, as we have learned, disrupt your hormones and can have a total impact in a bad way on your health. So yeah, just another reason to air dry your clothes. You don't need to put them in the dryer. There are definitely cases when you have to use the dryer, obviously, if it's winter, cold outside, and you don't want to hang clothes or you don't have the space in your home to do like one of those fold out drying racks, then you might want to use the dryer or to help get some wrinkles out of the clothes. So yeah, you can't be perfect, but remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Let's discuss home air filters and ventilation. Thinking about home air filters and ventilation through an ethical lens is going to touch down on health, climate impact, labor practices even, and long-term waste. Here is a breakdown to help you make the best choice. Let's understand air filters, the basics. Most homes in the US at least use HVAC filters. If you have an HVAC system in your home, a lot of us do, the HVAC filters are rated by MERV rating, MERV rating, and that's going to measure how well a filter captures particles. So a MERV 1 through 4 is like basic dust. They're cheap, but they're not very effective. MERV 5 through 8 is better for pollen and mold. MERV 9 to 12 is a good balance. It captures fine dust and some bacteria. But MERV 13 or greater has high efficiency. It's going to capture smoke, viruses, and even fine particles. It's going to balance air quality, energy efficiency, and system strain. The environmental impact on these home filters for your system, the HVAC system, the disposable filters are going to create landfill waste. Most of those are not recyclable. But the higher MERV is going to use more energy if your system struggles. So some better choices will be reusable, washable filters. It creates less waste over time. It is slightly less effective unless you maintain it well. Long life, high efficiency filters you replace less often and it creates less waste. Filters made with recycled materials or cardboard frames instead of plastic, that's better to choose. And you don't need to over filter. For instance, like a MERV 16, you don't need to buy that unless it's absolutely needed because it can increase your energy use and emissions. Ventilation itself is often more important than filters. Filtering cleans your indoor air, but ventilation removes pollen entirely. A key concept is air changes per hour. ACH. This measures how often indoor air is replaced. Ethical ventilation strategies would be natural ventilation. It is totally free. You just open your windows strategically and create a nice cross breeze flowing through your home. There's zero energy cost, zero emissions. Mechanical ventilation systems is another option. Heat recovery ventilation, or ERVs, brings in fresh air while conserving heating and cooling energy. The best ethical combo would be moderate filtration, good ventilation. That's going to create a healthier, lower footprint. When it comes to choosing a brand of air filter, look for transparent supply chains, US or regional manufacturing for lower shipping emissions and labor oversight, and certifications like Energy Star for systems, not filters. But be cautious of HEPA style, HEPA, marketing. It's very often misleading, and be cautious of ultra cheap filters that may involve poor labor practices. Some smart consumer habits: change your filters on a schedule. Dirty filters will waste energy. Vacuum and reduce dust sources, therefore less filtering will be needed. And use kitchen and bath exhaust fans. Avoid indoor pollutants like candles, smoke, and harsh cleaners. So your ideal ethical setup is going to be a filter that's MERV 11 through 13, pleated and long life, ventilation, open your windows regularly or install an HRV system or ERV. Extras would be seal your leaks and maintain the HVAC system. What about air purifiers? What do air purifiers actually do? The most effective units use HEPA filter technology. It removes 99.97% of particles and dust, smoke, and pollen. It works best for particles, not gas or CO2. Complements, but does not replace ventilation. Air purifiers are a tool, but not really for your whole house. Some benefits might be that it does reduce indoor pollution, especially if you've had wildfire smoke or you have allergies, and it can significantly improve the health of vulnerable people who might need the air purifier. It's portable and it's flexible, lower installation impact. But the costs would be the energy use if you operate it continually, the filter waste, and some models produce ozone, so you want to avoid ionizers. Overall, air purifiers are not really necessary unless you are a small percentage of the population that absolutely needs one, maybe in your bedroom at night when you're sleeping. If you're really prone to allergies, I know a lot of people will use it for that, or if you're sick, but it's just not really an everyday all around the house solution. Speaking of all around the house, what do you do about bugs? It is springtime, and if you have plants inside, outside, or maybe no plants at all, you might see some bugs coming into your home. What do you do about that as an ethical-minded person? You don't want to kill the animals. You also don't want to use super toxic chemicals to get rid of them or even deter them. So if you want to manage home pests in a way that aligns with your ethical consumption, so you minimize harm to humans, your pets, the environment, and also avoid exploitative and toxic products, here are some strategies and principles to keep in mind. Prevention is first. Preventing the bugs from getting inside reduces the need for harmful chemicals. Here's what you can do. Seal entry points, so caulk cracks, fix your screens, and weather strip doors and windows. Reduce food attractants. Store food in sealed containers, clean crumbs immediately, and manage garbage properly. Control the moisture, and use dehumidifiers in damp areas. Bugs like cockroaches, silverfish, and mosquitoes love moisture. Ugh, I'm getting grossed out just thinking about it. So gross, so gross. I don't want to kill them, but I don't want them around me. Declutter. Bugs hide in piles of clothes, papers, and cardboard. Prevention is ethical because it avoids killing those insects unnecessarily and reduces your chemical usage. Know your target. Not all bugs need elimination. Some are harmless or even beneficial. I know you're thinking like, no, ew, why would any bugs be beneficial? But check it out. Ants are often minor nuisances. They can be diverted rather than being killed. Spiders eat other pests, so relocation is preferable. Bees or ladybugs, they are ecologically valuable, so please avoid harming them. Identifying the species can help you choose the least harmful method. Here are some non-toxic and low-impact options for unavoidable infestations, which can occur. You can use solutions with minimal ecological and health impact. Live catch traps for rodents or insects to release outside. There are natural repellents, essential oils like peppermint, eucalyptus, citronella. All of those things can be used to deter the bugs. There is something called diatomaceous earth. This is for crawling insects, but it is abrasive to exoskeletons. It's not toxic to humans and pets, but it's really sad what it actually does to ants. There are heat and cold treatments. High temperature washes for textiles will kill mites or bed bugs, and freezing small items can manage infestations. If you're going for chemicals, choose wisely. Look for EPA safer choice, biodegradable labels. There are some chemicals that are harmful to wildlife. Apply them only in targeted areas rather than widespread spraying. Consider gel baits instead of sprays. Those have less airborne exposure and are more precise. For some infestations like termites, bed bugs, carpenter ants, that might actually require professional attention. So you might want to call a professional. If you do, make sure they use IPM, integrated pest management methods. Avoid broad spectrum poisons unless those are unavoidable. Provide a long-term solution rather than repeated chemical applications over and over. So bug removal is going to involve prevention, minimal harm, natural methods, informed chemical use. The goal is to remove the pests, but to also do it responsibly, safely, sustainably. And I know that in a lot of cases, unfortunately, you probably will have to kill some of these bugs, especially if it is an infestation and depending on the type of bug. But here are some eco-friendly options that don't kill bugs. You can incorporate physical barriers and exclusion, screens and seals. So install fine mesh screens and seals on windows, doors, and vents. Seal cracks in walls and around pipes. Door sweeps and weather stripping will prevent ants, spiders, and other crawling insects from entering. Some natural repellents would be essential oils. They're going to keep the bugs away without harming them. You can use peppermint, eucalyptus, citronella, tea tree, and lavender oil. Mix them with water and spray it around those entry points. Herbs and plants that can be used would be mint, basil, rosemary, marigolds, and lemongrass, which all naturally repel insects. Place them on windowsills, gardens, or near the doors. And vinegar and citrus together, ants and some flies dislike vinegar or citrus peels near entry points. Habitat modification. In other words, make your home less attractive rather than targeting bugs directly. Reduce your moisture, declutter, and be sure to store your food properly. There are some non-lethal traps for relocation purposes. You could use a cup and card trap for spiders and small insects. You can use a live catch mouse or insect trap. There is a brand called Have a Heart for mice, for instance. Place them along walls or entryways and release the captured creatures far from your home so they don't return. And there are bug vacuums, handheld vacuums that are designed for insects, which allow quick capture and release. A companion animal, so you might have pets, and some pets naturally deter pests without killing them. Cats and small reptiles may discourage rodents and insects. Chickens and ducks, if you have a yard, can eat insects without chemical pesticides. That's not a practical solution for everyone, though. Learn which bugs are harmless and beneficial, and simply coexisting with them sometimes is the most eco-friendly solution, but yeah, you don't want a house full of bugs, obviously. And finally, the last topic of our spring cleaning episode is going to be about donating. You are likely cleaning out the closet, cleaning around the house, and finding things that you don't need that are still in good condition that someone else can love and use much more than you are. So it's all about downsizing, decluttering. Spring cleaning can be a perfect opportunity to donate items responsibly. The idea is to reduce waste, help others, ensure things you no longer need are put to good use instead of ending up in the landfill. You can donate the following: clothes and accessories if they're gently used. Avoid donating items that are really heavily worn or damaged. Recycling those might be better. Electronics and appliances, they can be donated to charities, schools, or tech reuse organizations. Just remember to wipe your personal data first if you're donating those devices. Books and media, libraries, schools, and secondhand shops often welcome books, CDs, and DVDs. What are CDs and DVDs? I already forgot. Furniture and household items. Consider local charities, shelters, community centers. And where do you donate? Charity shops. There are organizations like Goodwill, St. Vincent de Paul, Oxfam, Salvation Army. There are local charity shops, and they accept a large range of items. There are some clothing recycling schemes. H&M and Patagonia, for instance, they have a take-back program, so they recycle old textiles. Food and essentials. Some food banks accept non-perishable goods, so just check the rules about expiration dates. So if something is in pretty good condition, obviously donate it. If it is broken, damaged, stained, torn, or heavily worn, those are all going to be things to simply recycle. And I plan on doing an entire episode in the future regarding minimalism, but that is just a brief overview for now for donating because it pertains to spring cleaning. So it's a great feeling to be productive and get your house cleaned, get your stuff organized, sort through what you don't use anymore and you don't need. And it's a great feeling to donate as well. Well, that is all for today's episode, all about spring cleaning. I hope you learned something new, got some useful tips you can apply to your home situation. Be sure to follow, like, subscribe, etc. to the ShopLogic website, download the app, and follow on socials like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify for this podcast for weekly episodes to learn together how we can buy better. And be sure to tune in next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.